Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new episode of Tor Tries, and this is going to be another crochet book review. So today I'm going to be reviewing this book, which is called Snuggle and Play Crochet, and it's by Carolina Guzman Benitez. And as always, I'll be splitting this video into 5 main sections. So I'm going to start off by talking about the book itself, then I'm going to talk about the author, then I'm going to show you the things I've made from the book, then I'm going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about the book, and then I'll give you my overall recommendation at the end. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out more about this book, then keep watching. The book is available from most popular online shops such as Amazon, Waterstones and eBay in the UK. And it was published in 2017, so it is a slightly older book. So there are quite a few second-hand copies knocking around, it looks like, so you could probably get quite a good price if you buy it second-hand. But the price for a completely new book is actually pretty cheap anyway, so it's £12 for the book, which when you look at the number of patterns, that is really good value. But yeah, like I say, I imagine a second-hand book you could probably get for even cheaper than that. And then yeah, in terms of the number of patterns then, so you get 20 of these different animals within the book, so 20 unique animals, but then obviously each pattern can be either made into the animal or it can be made into the lovey blanket style like this one. So if you consider that to be 2 different patterns per animal, then actually I guess there's 40 in the book, and that's what how she calculated the 40 down here. So 20 different animals but can be made into just the animal or just the blanket. And then in terms of the blanket styles that are in the book as well, there's actually 5 of these, so technically there's probably more than 40 combinations that you can make in the book, because you could make all of the animals with each of the different style of blankets, so that's actually quite a lot of different combinations that you can make out of this book. And in terms of the difficulty of those patterns, so there is a little bit of an explanation at the beginning of the book, and she considers that all of the animals are intermediate level, and then she considers that the blankets, the granny blanket is more of a beginner blanket, and then the other 4 blankets are slightly more advanced than that. So it sounds like from reading that this is more of a book aimed towards intermediate level crocheters rather than beginners. But that's not to say that I don't think beginners could do a lot of the patterns in this book, because I do think they are quite accessible. So I would say that this is a beginner to an intermediate level book really, and that's also not to say that advanced level crocheters can't enjoy this, because you'll see later on in the video, but I did really enjoy the patterns that I did in this book. And then the stitches that are used then, as it's amigurumi, you know, you're going to have mostly your standard single crochets, increases, decreases and slip stitches for the animals. But then because there's the blanket aspect to this as well, there's some slightly different stitches in this book that are maybe more common in blankets, such as a crab stitch or cluster stitches as well were in this book. So there is a section at the back that explains how to do all of the stitches, so if you're struggling then you can always refer to that. But as always, there's tons of YouTube tutorials always on all of the stitches, and that's no exception for this book. If you search any of these stitches, you'll find tons of YouTube videos as well, so if you can't understand the written instructions, you can always refer to YouTube instead. This next section about the author is going to be fairly short because I couldn't actually find much information about her, but obviously, as I mentioned before, her name's Carolina, and having read the author information in the book, it seems like she's Spanish, or she lives in Spain. I'm not sure if she actually is Spanish, and actually her full-time job is being a nurse, so she's not a amigurumi designer as her full-time job. It sounds like it's just something that she does for fun, which I can relate to that as well. So yeah, that's quite cool when sort of people create books and when it's not even their full-time job. Like, I can't imagine how much time she probably had to spend just in her evenings and weekends working on this book, so I do find that quite impressive that she managed to publish this while still working as a nurse full-time. And then in terms of other books or other patterns, I couldn't actually find anything online. In the section of the book about the author, it does suggest that she has other patterns that she sold previously, but potentially they're no longer listed online, or maybe I just couldn't find them, so I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't look like she has any other books or any other patterns available online. And equally, I couldn't actually find any social media either, so it seems like she sort of keeps it quite quiet on the social media, and she doesn't necessarily have like Instagram, and I couldn't find her on Ravelry either, I don't think, but yeah, so it doesn't seem like she has a very big social media presence. Now getting on to what I've made from the book. So I've actually made 3 patterns in total from the book, but one of them I can't show you because I've had this book actually for a few years and I just never did a review on it because I got it before I even had a YouTube channel. But I did crochet this Clover the Bunny Lovey, and I made that for someone at my work who was having a baby. Again, that was a few years ago now, so can't show you, but it did turn out really cute, so just take my word for that. And then I made another Lovey recently, so I've made this one, which is Luke the Frog, and he is made with a block blanket. That is what the pattern suggests that you use as well, but you can use any of the blanket patterns, with any of the animals. You don't have to go with what they say in the book, but I just decided to follow that. So yep, this is what Luke the Frog looks like, really cute. And then I made one of the just standard doll patterns, so not a blanket, and this one was Sue the Duck. So I really like this one, I think it's really cute. Yeah, just got the little webbed feet at the bottom here. In the book they do use safety eyes, but they do say that if you're making this for a young child, then they would recommend that you embroider the eyes, so that's what I did, because this is going to be for a baby, so yeah, don't want them to accidentally eat the safety eyes or anything like that, so yeah, I thought I'd be a bit on the safe side there, but I think they'd probably look even better with safety eyes as well. So yeah, if you're making them for a slightly older child that you can trust not to eat the eyes, then yeah, you can go ahead and use safety eyes like it tells you to do in the book. And then in terms of the yarn weight and the needle and stuff that I used, so for both of these I used Aran weight yarn with a 4mm crochet hook, and for once that was actually what the book told you to do, so it wasn't just me being annoying and just using the yarn weight and the yarn hook size that I always use. In the book it actually says to use a worsted weight yarn, which is basically equivalent to Aran weight, and a 4mm crochet hook, so yeah, I was actually following the instructions this time, and you can see they came out a decent size, so yeah, probably just the right size for, you know, a baby or a young child to have as their little toys. So yeah, that's everything that I've made from the book. So moving on to what I liked and disliked about the book, there's quite a lot of things that I liked, to be honest. So the main thing that I really like about this book is the mix and match aspect of it. So as I've touched on previously, there's 5 different blanket patterns and you can just use any of them with any of the animals. Then any of the animals you can make into the Lovey style, or you can make them into just the doll style. And then obviously also you can customise all of this by using whatever colours that you want as well. So there's so many different ways to make unique stuff out of this book. And I just really like that aspect, and it just means that yeah, you can just choose whatever you want to do to suit whatever you're trying to make, and yeah, it's just so many different possibilities that you can get out of just this one book. So I really like that. That's the main thing that I like about this book. I also really like the fact that you can make these Lovey patterns out of this book. So I really like crocheting blankets, but I don't do it often because, you know, I don't just want to be crocheting a whole load of blankets for no reason. They're obviously big and they take up a lot of space, and they're also very time consuming to do as well. So I only very rarely do a blanket, but it is one of my favourite things to crochet. So what I love about this book is it gave me an excuse to make a sort of mini blanket to go along with my amigurumi. And I would say that amigurumi and blankets are my 2 favourite things to crochet. So combining them together into one book was really fun for me, and I really liked that. I also like the fact that all of the animals, there's 20 in the book, which I think is really good value for money, and also they're all quite unique and really cute looking, and they also even have like some human doll style ones at the end, so they're not all like just animals, they have got humans in here as well. And I like the fact that they kind of have, I think it's like a reindeer one that looks quite Christmassy as well, so there's quite a lot of variety of animals in this book, and I think, yeah, everyone will find something that they like in here. And then the final thing that I really liked about this book is, despite the size of these, like, it's a decent size, but because they're quite simple patterns, I would say, they really weren't time consuming to make at all. Like, you could do probably one of these in under 10 hours, I would say. Like, it really didn't take that long for me to make these. So if you're time constrained, then this is a really good book, and you could make a few of these and it, you know, it wouldn't even take you that much time. So that's sort of the other thing that I really liked about the book. So then getting on to things I didn't like, to be honest, there was only one thing, and I think it might just be me being slow rather than anything wrong with the book itself. But when I came to do the blanket for this frog, so this block blanket, I don't know if it was just me being, like I say, slow and just not understanding, but I read the written instructions so many times and I just could not understand what I was trying to do, and I was doing it and it just didn't look right what was coming out. So I ended up having to use a YouTube tutorial to find out how to make this particular blanket. And luckily, I think all the blankets in this book are kind of like you know, sort of common styles of blanket. I don't think she necessarily came up with anything, you know, particularly unique in terms of the blankets. I think they're sort of things that, you know, you can find online already. So I was able to find a YouTube tutorial of how to do the blanket, and after that it was fine and I was able to do it. But that was just the only one thing that I didn't like. But like I say, that was the only thing in the entire book. So, you know, it was a pretty good book, and it might have just been me, you know, looking at it late at night and just not fully understanding what they were trying to say. So someone else reading the pattern might have been able to understand that. I also, like I say, don't crochet blankets particularly often, so someone that's more experienced with crocheting blankets probably could have sort of understood the written instructions there as well. But for me, because it's not something that I look at often, I did need a bit of help with a YouTube tutorial there. But yeah, that was the only issue that I had with the book. Other than that, it was a really positive experience crocheting everything that I made. So overall then, I would 100% recommend this book if you're in the market for making some amigurumi animals or some loveys, or you want to make both. I think this is a really, really good book for if you have children, young children, or you know someone that has young children and you want to crochet some gifts. Like I say, that's what I use this book for. I've made a few gifts for people from this, and I think it's really, really good. And it's good that there's 20 different animals in here too, so even if you're making gifts for 20 people, you can give each of them something unique as well, so you're not just making the same thing over and over again. And like I say, it's just so customizable. All of the patterns in here, you can make them however you want to. You can mix and match the blanket patterns. I just think it's such a fun book and really, really good value for money. And I didn't find any errors or anything like that with any of the patterns either, so they're all really well written, and it seems like this book was really well tested, and yeah, there were no significant issues with the patterns in this book either. So yeah, 100% recommend. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. As always, let me know down below if there's any more books that you want me to do a review on, and that will be it for today's video. Bye guys.